Patty.
Straight into another rock star of the UK startup scene. Please can we welcome from Mind Candy, purveyors of Moshi monsters, Michael Acton Smith.
He did the mash. He did the monster mash. He did the mash. It was a total smash. He did the mash. It was a monster mash. Yes, it's the mash.
So, I don't know if any of you are under 9 or 10, but if you know someone who's under 9, well, under 11 typically, they will be playing Moshi Monsters, and you now have 70 million people playing?
About a little over 70 million registered users. Yeah, but it's not active. But.
So the last figures I saw, you made a nice healthy profit last year.
Yeah, we made about £10 million profit last year.
On a turnover of about?
About 30 million.
Okay. So what you need to know about Moshi Monsters is it's not just a game where you create a pet identity.
Yep.
It's now, I think, the biggest children's magazine in the UK.
Yes.
You're into toys. How far is the brand extension going?
Well, I think when we set it up, the original plan was just to create a website, you know, a sort of modern-day version of Tamagotchi or Furby. And it was very slow in the early days. Not many children signed up. A lot of behind-the-scene head-scratching and sleepless nights. And after about a year and a half in 2009, it just took off like a rocket. We started adding about 1 new sign-up a second. And after about a year of that, we realized that kids loved the digital experience, but they loved the idea of having a physical version of their monster as well, a plush toy, and then children wrote to us and said, why don't you launch a magazine and a book and all these other ideas, and so we started taking it offline. And Angry Birds have done something similar, the guys at Rovio, Talking Tom are doing something similar, and I think this is such an extraordinarily exciting time to be in the entertainment industry. So much disruption going on, huge industry. And I think the future hits are going to start as mobile or online experiences and then expand into books and films and TV and everything else, rather than in the old days where they'd start as a film or a TV show.
So it's any startup brand is a media property?
In a way, especially if they're in the entertainment industry. If you're creating stories and characters, they can live online, but I think you're much smarter if you think of it broader. So rather than thinking of yourselves as an online games business, think as an entertainment company. And then not only do users move from the web to offline, but vice versa, and stronger revenue streams and all sorts of other advantages.
So where do you go next?
Well, good question. We think about possibly. You know, I think we've had a good run, and we could sell the business, and I could go and live in a treehouse on a desert island drinking cocktails, but I don't want to do that. I think that would be super boring. Like, you know, most of the people in this room, I want to build amazing stuff and create things and create products that customers love and change their life. So I want to take it to the next level, and Moshi is the start. So we want to take Moshi into different countries. Second, we are looking at the shift to mobile and tablets. It's extraordinary how fast that's happening in the kids space. We have a YouTube channel, and a Moshi Monsters YouTube channel, and I was amazed when I discovered 40% of views are from mobile devices for that. So kids, you know, we never thought kids would be given iPads or parents would spend hundreds of dollars for tablets, but they absolutely are. And I think that's going to be the dominant device for children over the next few years. Not just gaming, but video, music, education. Super exciting.
So you've launched a spin-off character, a girl's character, Poppet.
Yes.
Do you see a whole set of new sub-brands a la Walt Disney?
Yeah, so you know, our vision for the business is to create the greatest entertainment company in the world for this new digital generation. And
don't you love that ambition?
I think, you know, I think it's very important for startups to have big, bold, audacious goals. I think they're called BHAGs, and you can get people really rallied behind that cause. So we've got a little way to go to catch up with Disney's $90 billion market cap. But yeah, we'd love to launch new products and expand in many different ways.
So how many paying customers do you think you could have? What's the opportunity?
It's tricky to say. Obviously with the digital revenue, the subscription, a lot of children play for free, and then some parents sign up for the Moshi Passport.
And how much do you have to pay each month?
It's about £5 a month. And now, when we launched the licensing and the physical side of things, we thought that would just be a fun bit of incremental revenue. But it's almost half our revenues now come from our physical products. And Angry Birds and the Rovio guys discovered something very similar. Huge number of downloads, but I think they sold about $400 million worth of plush toys last year. And so there's a lot of money to be made when you create characters and stories that resonate digitally.
So let's just examine how far you can extend a brand. Do you see theme parks working?
Possibly, yeah. That was something that Disney did very successfully. And we're having a few sort of early stage conversations. We want to take it a step at a time, though. We don't want to kind of run before we can walk. Something I'm very excited about at the moment is a movie. And we've wanted to do this for a while. Create really engaging, wonderful linear entertainment. And we had a chat to a few Hollywood studios, and were wined and dined, and then we thought, you know what? Rather than just giving an option away and having someone else take creative control, maybe we could do it ourselves. So this is going to be either a very smart or a very stupid decision, but we're financing a film, we're putting together the producer, the director, and the team, and going to be launching that later next year.
So you are the movie studio?
In a way, and I think that's why entertainment is so exciting at the moment. You no longer need to go through these super powerful gatekeepers. If you've got talent, you can put up a song on YouTube and get mass distribution. Or if you want to create a game, you can put it on the Apple store. And I think it's the same with businesses like ours. We don't need to...
But if Barry has a film, he needs to go through distribution channels, official distribution channels, to get them into cinemas. So how are you going to close the loop?
That's a good point. We are going to have a distribution partner, but they will take a smaller piece of the share than if we'd given up the entire rights to the film.
And of course, you've got your existing magazine readers, online subscribers that you can cross-market to.
Yes, yeah, an audience, a community online, who are online chatting to friends, sending messages, interested in new stuff that we put out. Whereas in the olden days, if you had a franchise as a TV show or a film, you could only update that every few years, and you didn't have that direct connection with your audience. I just think we're still in the early days of massive changes in entertainment.
You don't ever worry about overstretching yourself?
Yeah, we do. We could sign maybe 3 or 4 times as many licensing deals as we do. And we have to be very good at saying no, making sure the quality is super high, making sure that we don't just slap a label on products, that everything we do enhances the story or provides a new window into the world for children. And I think that's how we can create a brand that has real soul and depth, and that hopefully will be around for my kids, maybe my grandchildren, to play one day, rather than a fad that burns brightly and fades away.
So you're a London business, but you've got global aspirations. How much pressure do you come under to locate in the US, to move away from London?
Yeah, a lot of my friends have set up business on the West Coast, and I've thought about it, but I love London. I think it's an amazing city, and I want to show that it's possible to build a big multi-billion-dollar or multi-pound or euro business here in Europe. We have offices in the US, we have a fair few employees over there, but I want our kind of heart to remain here in London.
So what are the barriers to fast-growing digital businesses in UK, in Ireland, in Europe?
Well, I think it's similar kind of barriers to wherever you're based. We haven't really had any disadvantage being based here in Europe. There are great lawyers and accountants and investors. There's great talented developers. An artist. We've got pretty much all the stuff we need. We do a little bit of hiring from Silicon Valley. But I think the biggest challenge we have is just the team. I say there are some great people here, but with any business, you've just got to continue adding amazing people. And we've got about 150 so far. So finding ways to continue to add amazing people is probably my trickiest headache.
I always hear, oh, there isn't the funding to grow a company quickly in the UK, in Europe. Has that not been an issue?
I think It is easier to raise money on the West Coast. I think there are more second, third, fourth generation entrepreneurs to put in that crucial early stage capital. But it's very possible here as well. You know, if you've got a good idea and you can tell a good story, and crucially, you can just get a little bit of traction. It doesn't cost a lot of money to launch a business and just test it out. You should be able to raise money here. And yeah.
So when it comes to doing an IPO,
Mm-hmm.
is London the place, or are there barriers to London being the place that you go public?
Yeah, so this is a question I get asked a lot. And you know, my stock answer is we're very busy. We're very focused on building our business and creating extraordinary entertainment. We're not that focused on thinking about IPOs. It's maybe something that happens in the future. And I know the government in the UK and the LSE are trying to relax the rules to make it easier for fast growth tech companies to launch here in Europe. But you know, there's still a lot of advantage to going public on NASDAQ or NYSE, the analyst coverage, the liquidity, the comparable companies. So I think we've got a way to go before it becomes an equal decision.
But if Europe's going to launch its own big success stories that list locally, what do the politicians need to know?
You know, I don't think it's the case for government. I think they can do a little bit at the periphery to make it slightly easier, but it's more a case of just almost standing back and just letting the entrepreneurs get on with it, cutting red tape and bureaucracy. We should be teaching entrepreneurship and inspiring kids in schools and letting children know that setting up their own business is a very viable option when they leave school or university. And I think that's how we can create the next wave of amazing entrepreneurs in Europe.
So when you come to a place like Dublin,
Mm-hmm.
how excited are you by the entrepreneurial scene that you're tapping into?
You know, I was amazed when I arrived here yesterday. I didn't realize this conference was quite so big. I think Paddy was saying it's almost tripled or more than tripled in the last year. So many fantastic startups when I wander around out there. So this is a wonderful, bubbling ecosystem that I think, and not just Irish companies, but European businesses, I think we're going to see a lot of really exciting stuff emerging over the next year or two.
And one of the barriers I often hear to the entrepreneurial culture in the UK and Europe generally is, oh, we don't have this tolerance for failure that the Americans have. In the West Coast, you can barely get funding unless you've already failed. Mm-hmm. You've had personal experience of this, haven't you? What people may not know is Mind Candy, the parent company of Moshi Monsters, started out as something very different that didn't work out too well.
Yes, yeah. So, you know, I'm a big believer in the concept of failing fast. There's nothing wrong with failing as long as you do it quickly and you learn from your mistakes. Unfortunately, that's not what we did with the first game we created under Mind Candy. It was called Perplexity. It was a treasure hunt with a £100,000 prize. We gave clues on text message and websites and fax machines. We had actors and live events and helicopters. And we raised about $10 million and burnt through it pretty quickly. Helicopters are quite expensive. And I went to my board and said, look, you know, this just isn't working. Creatively, it was extraordinary, but commercially, it just wasn't there. And with the last bit of cash left, I said, rather than just burn through this, let's try one more idea. And that was the final roll of the dice, which became Moshi Monsters.
And what was the toughest part of that?
You know, I think it was probably sitting down with the team. We had about 20 people at that time. And this had been an idea that had been bubbling away in my head, this treasure hunt since I was a kid. I read a book called Masquerade when I was about 7, and I wanted to create an internet version of that. And filled up notebooks over the years of how it was going to work, and built a team and inspired everyone, and we won awards and got loads of press attention. And then to have to sit down with your team and say, look, this just isn't working. Sorry, everybody. We're going to have to pull the shutters, close the shutters, and just stop it. And people were out of jobs, and but also something that they'd spent years building as well was finished. That was pretty painful.
It wasn't your first business as well, was it?
No, before that, I'd done Firebox. I did Firebox, which was an online e-commerce site selling toys and gadgets and games. Prior to that, when I was a lot younger, I did BMX stunt shows in my front garden. I washed the neighbors' cars. I dug up a hole in my parents' garden to try and breed koi carp. Lots of very random things that didn't work out so well.
So what are the character traits you think it needs to be one of these disruptive entrepreneurs that are going for big scale? Are there things that you can learn, or do you need a certain natural instinct?
I think it's a little bit of both. I think the wonderful thing about the digital space, as I said earlier, is it's so cheap now to launch a new business, to just try something. And in the olden days, whether it was a film or a video game or a music album, you needed deep, deep pockets, and often years to build something. And nowadays, if you've got an inkling of an idea, a kernel, you can get something out in a matter of weeks, sometimes in a matter of days, and just test it. And this is what we're spending a lot of time thinking about at MindCandy, trying to create new ideas and new games. And we create these little discovery teams, 3 people, 1 product manager, 1 developer, 1 designer, who just work very fast, rapid prototype, test with users, and then repeat until it looks like we've got something that's magic, and then we expand from there.
So you mentioned that mobile is a huge opportunity now. I was just wondering, if you didn't already have Moshi Monsters and MindCandy, what kind of business would you start now?
Oh, goodness. I love the game space. I think that's fascinating, so obviously can't give that answer. Something in music, maybe. Always wanted to be a musician, but I didn't have the skills at singing or playing guitar. I think that's a really interesting sector that needs a lot of disruption. So yeah, probably in that space. Maybe a journalist, editor of a tech magazine might be quite fun.
We could do a job swap.
Shall we? All right, you're on. Come and work at MindCandy for a few weeks, and I'll do the next issue.
So just...
It's not...
I gotta go.
We immortalized David in the Moshi magazine recently as a monster. David Gronin, I think.
I was flattered. It was because we put Michael on the front page of Wired.
Thank you
and this
for
was
that.
his revenge. So I just want to end with, because you are a role model for a lot of emerging entrepreneurs, and they want to take some of the shortcuts based on your experience. So can we leave with a couple of specific tips to the entrepreneurs, to the startups here, how they can avoid some of the tougher moments you've been through?
So yeah, the theme, as I've been talking about, failing fast, very important. Don't build bulky things. Don't be wedded to one idea and spend ages convinced that's going to work. Find something shorter, bite-sized. Read Eric Ries's book and subscribe to those principles. And let me think, what else? Research lots, read loads, not just blogs and books, but analyst reports. Get as much information as you can. Network, come to events like this, go to parties, speak to other people, pick up gossip, and put the jigsaw pieces together to figure out what's going to work and what isn't. Because no one really knows. This is such an amazingly exciting time to build a business. And hopefully there are a load of massive, massive successes that are going to emerge from here.
I hope I don't ruin your business when I come to work with you. Thank you very much, Michael Acton Smith.
Thank you.
He did the mash. He did the monster mash. He did the mash. It was a total smash. He did the mash. He did the monster mash. He did the mash. He did the mash.